And we are live. No viewers, though, so it's okay, I guess. We could wait a little bit until we actually get a...
Doobie-doobie-doo.
I've got our... Should have our music in here.
You did it last time.
Yep, I got to get to the...
Wow, it's almost like we practiced.
It's like we knew what we were doing, even though we don't. I even renamed it so I could find it easier, and of course I can't find it. Can you hear it?
Just barely.
No. I think maybe Phil should be in charge of AV.
Well, that's the music. Oh, we got our first viewer. It's time to go.
Okay, quick. Start talking.
It's Alex.
That's all right. Somebody. All right. Well, welcome to episode 7 of the GAFE Admin podcast. My name is Lance Lennon. I am the tech director from the Eagle Grove Community School District, Eagle Grove, Iowa.
I'm Mitch Dowhauer, technology director at Spencer Community Schools in Spencer, Iowa.
I'm Chad.
Go ahead.
I'm Chad Ferks. I'm going down the list, Carl. Stop budging.
Sorry.
Look at the notes.
Oh,
I'm Chad Ferks, technology director from Spirit Lake Schools in Northwest Iowa.
I am Carl Hare, tech director at Ames Community Schools in Ames, Iowa, and apparently I don't read the notes close enough.
Phil Trimble, Pocahontas Area Community School District Technology Director.
All righty. So episode 7 is back to school. Everybody is, hopefully, most people have gone back to school. If you haven't, then you're starting way too late. We've been back in school. This is our 4th week school, and just kind of want to talk this week about things that we did to get ready for school, how life has been since getting ready, and how life has been since school has actually started. So first thing I wanted to talk about that I had was noticed it was really fun. The day before school started for us, they decided to switch Google Plus to the force you out to the new Google Plus. Didn't have the choice. You still have the choice to go back, but it says it will take you to the new Google Plus, which I personally don't like as well. But I don't like change, so I guess that makes me a huge fan of Google. Actually, I am. Weird. But it's one of those things, and we've talked about it on here before. And one of the things to really look at is the Google Updates calendar. Make sure you're looking at that, watching, seeing what's supposed to be coming out, when changes are going to be made, when they're scheduled to be released. What is it? Google Apps.com
Jarvis is on the show.
/ what's new. Thought I posted that one in here. I did not. But yeah, just go out and find that apps calendar and make sure you're ready for those changes that are coming, because just like they say, right before school starts, they're going to make changes. One of the changes Carl loved was new sites.
And I happened to be in my calendar earlier today, putting in an event, and some other notifications started populating into next week. So I haven't had a chance to go back and look what those were. So they're changing something next week. It may or may not be important.
And it depends which calendars you subscribe to, because my guess is, Chad, you subscribe to quite a few of them.
Yeah.
Because some of them have to do with...
I like to know.
He likes to be in the nose.
I think it's better to live in the dark, because then it'll be a surprise every day you come to work. What got changed today?
Yeah.
Like
that
say
makes for a fun day.
You have a teacher that builds an entire Google site and new sites and can't share it the way she wants.
Here he goes.
So that's kind of a bummer, but they're still working the bugs out of new sites. It is prettier, that's for sure. But I won't step up on that soapbox.
Why not? Go for it.
Now,
that's what soapboxes are for.
There's a time and a place for that one. I'll leave that one alone.
Hey, it's always fun when you can't get logged into anything either, like when Google SSO tokens are broken.
Yes.
See,
I'm sure Cody had no problems with that last week.
That's going to teach all you guys to set up all this SSO stuff and whatever. Those of us that just use GAM and spreadsheets, I didn't have one problem. Not one.
No, that you may not have known it. And it really did affect, because if your domain was locked down, you locked down your Chromebooks to only be allowed to log into your domain, it did affect you. What we found is, because it happened over lunch, kids, if they closed their Chromebook and just opened it back up, they were fine. But if they logged out, they could not log back in. As long as you were logged in, they were fine. And then, of course, Mitch, you had a lot worse because of all the SSO stuff. But for me, we had probably
it really
10
hard
cases.
up. At least it only
But how
lasted,
long-
40 minutes or something? So
Yeah, it was pretty short as far as outages go.
It would have been a lot better if that had happened in July than in September, but
What do you do?
All my Chromebooks are sitting on a shelf in July. I would have never known.
it would have been perfect. It would have been absolute. Woo! Great time. It was down. Really didn't notice.
Okay.
Phil, did you notice it?
No, not at all. Most of my students
Feels like
don't
what?
log out.
Google?
Yeah.
What? Work?
I was following the chat about it, but no, I didn't notice a darn thing.
I happened to not be logged into anything Google when it started to break, and then I couldn't get logged in for like a 40-minute period. So that was fun.
So did you just go home?
It was. I just took a nap.
We closed school. Google's not working. Everybody go home.
No, it was impossible to take a nap because someone was at my door every 30 seconds. Hey, did you know you can't log into Google? Nope, didn't know. Brand new
Like
news.
Google tech support, and they just completely took it offline. Like the online chat, they just turned it off. You call in, they
Okay.
turned off their phone.
No, they use Google Voice. They couldn't log into it.
Maybe.
Google support.
Probably.
So, but the interesting thing was, and I don't know, I have no idea what the correlation was, but at like right after, towards the end of the outage and right after the outage, the GAFE Admin Google Plus community gained, I think it was like 25 new members. Like
Yeah, I
people all
saw
of a
that
sudden-
notice. That
That was-
notice came through. All of a sudden, boom.
Yeah,
What?
like a whole bunch of people. I was like, was Google saying, "Hey, go on the GAFE Admins Google Plus
Ask them.
community"?
Ask them if it's broken. They shut down tech support, but you could call these guys.
You can talk to the GAFE Admin. So, and I thought, oh, it must be a meeting somewhere. And I was looking at where the people were from. It was all over. So I don't know what was going on, but I just thought a very interesting correlation. And yeah, this summer we hit 4,000 members on the GAFE Admin Google Plus community. We're at almost 4,200 now. So the thing keeps growing. I keep thinking eventually we'll get everybody in here, but they just keep coming. I'm trying to see. Has anybody seen any comments popped up?
No, just Alex. She's getting her own. She's getting her own podcast
She's-
tonight.
No, we have 6 viewers right now. So I was just seeing.
So-
What we have.
Just to start off a little bit about the beginning of the school year, we got 300 new Chromebooks in, the Lenovo N22s, and we used Rubber Ducky. That worked so smooth this year, just like last year. Great program. I swear it probably took us longer to unbox the computers than it did to config and distribute.
We did
So-
we did 600 this summer, and I only had 2 techs working on it. No problem. Boom.
Yes,
Yeah.
nice.
So how many duckies were you running, Phil?
I had 3 Rubber Duckies.
And Mitch?
12.
Nice.
That's a lot of ducks.
Are they? Is that
That's-
a gaggle?
Were they in a row?
I think you have a gander.
You have a flock.
That is a gander, right?
A gaggle? A gaggle of
Gaggle
ducks.
of ducks? What is that? I don't know.
It's a gaggle of geese.
Hold on, I'll ask Google. Okay,
Yeah,
Google.
find out what is
So
What is
Phil,
the
I was
plural of
actually going to say the same thing. We not that it's
Not really that. Okay, Google.
bigger sort of thing.
What is a group of ducks?
According to reference.com, a group of ducks can be called a flock, brace, raft, team, or paddling. A group of ducks is referred to as a flock while they are in flight. They are more often referred to as a raft, team, or paddling while the group is on water.
A paddling of rubber
Paddling. It's a paddling of rubber
Paddling
duckies.
They were, I hope they
Nice.
weren't in flight, so I'm guessing it's a paddling. You had
It's
a
a
paddling of
paddling.
rubber ducks.
So we just
and
actually rolled out our
they flock.
full lock of rubber duckies, not of seagulls. Very different thing. So we actually rolled out our 1-to-1 all the way down to kindergarten this year. So we rolled out 3,000 Chromebooks. We had the Asus Flips and the Acer R11s, the complete tablets, are the flip devices again. But yeah, we used the rubber duckies, and the great thing is I gave 5 rubber duckies to one of my high school helpers and said, "Here you go, have fun." And you're right, it took longer to get them out of the boxes to get it going. Him and another tech just right. I mean, it took forever to just build the carts, wiring and everything. So the computers were done so much faster, and it's a great tool. We were running 5 of them, and we were going to try to find some time to build one out of an Arduino, but never really got all the way to it, like build our own. And so we just went with the straight rubber duckies because 5 was enough. Basically, by the time you got done with the 5th one, the first one was you could start over again. So, a great tool.
If Pete had sent me a centipede like he said he was going to, thanks, Pete, then I would have tried Amplified IT's centipede project. But, I don't have one, so I rubber duckied it.
Lance got a centipede. Did you use it?
Tim handed me a centipede at ST. Must have been the one that you were supposed to get. Sorry. I've used it twice, and it worked just like they said it would. I think the rubber ducky is a little more configurable than the Arduino, than the centipede, but cost-wise, I think centipede is going to cost $8, where the rubber ducky costs $50.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I looked through that script. It's actually not that bad to tweak it. So, at some point I'll try it out, and maybe if Pete will listen to our podcast and send me one.
Send us all one.
Yeah.
Everyone else. How's that?
Yeah, Lance already has his.
Of all the people on the podcast, he gave a centipede to Lennon. I'm really about that.
Mm-hmm.
I think honestly, I was the last one up in the probably up in the vendor hall, and you guys were probably actually going to sessions. I was schmoozing.
As you do.
So I do.
Yeah, we also used rubber ducky to redo a bunch of ours. We didn't have any new deployment, but we always wipe and redo everything in the elementary for sure, and then senior machines get bumped down to the younger kids. So those were all done with rubber ducks. We had six ducks, 2 techs. Off she went, easy peasy. Our plan was to go. Our plan was to push 1-to-1 down to the kindergarten, first grade level 2. They currently have a tablet. It's not quite 1-to-1. It's close. But we were going to go with the ASUS Flips, and then Android started going to the Chrome OS, as we all know. But it's not quite there for the GAFE accounts. So we did end up deploying just a test batch of 14 to 1 kindergarten room, and we did the whole personal account. So I deprovisioned them in the GAFE Admin console, and then set up a personal Gmail account with a Spirit Lake e-name, and then we used that. That worked pretty well, actually. It went better than I thought. It was all manual, obviously, because I wasn't sure how that was all going to work. And after about 10 of them, there were some weird syncing issues between the Chrome profiles, but it never affected the Android apps. You could still go get those. So I was able to get 14 up and running for that one teacher, and they're going to test those out. We're waiting on a couple things, one being the ability to manage those from the GAFE admin console, obviously, and then hoping someday that a convertible device will have a world-facing camera, because those little kids use that. They use a product called EasyBlog to record artifacts of learning, do all kinds of cool stuff with EasyBlog. Just got our site license account set up with EasyBlog. It's really great for younger kids to easily record artifacts of learning. But we want flips with world-facing cameras, and hopefully vendors are listening and making those a reality soon. So I actually put our push to kindergarten and first grade off for a little bit just to see what was going to happen. And I'm not afraid to go mid-year if something comes out soon enough, right around the Christmas time. We'll make the leap then.
Nice.
How long did it take for you to get those set up, Chad?
I did it myself, just one at a time. I just laid them all 14 of them out on a counter, and just did what I used to do before rubber duckies existed. Just memorized the keystrokes that were needed, and it went boom, boom, in a wheelie chair right down the row. So I should have dressed like a duck. I could have been my own rubber duck, going back and forth in my wheelie chair. Yeah, I did it at home, actually. And I seriously put them around our center island in our kitchen, and was just wheeling around the island, doing them one at a time. It really didn't take too long.
Yeah.
The longest part was downloading the apps, obviously.
Right.
We used Lexia 5, and that sucker is, I think that's the one that, it was almost a gig by itself. It was like 789 meg.
All over
Chrome app all over my Wi-Fi.
Your Wi-Fi. Nice.
Yeah.
So
He's got rock solid Wi-Fi. It's his ISP that we've talked about.
My ISP that's a little shady.
Hey, mine works awesome.
Yeah, thanks, Mitch.
I think for those districts that are looking into possibly deploying this, you really need to get a device, at least a device, and throw it into the dev channel and start playing around with it. I've had a few teachers that got a hold of the news that it's coming to Android, and they got all excited and, yeah, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. And one of the apps they want to use right away, and it gets to what you were talking about, Chad, is Seesaw. We use the heck out of Seesaw.
Use that too.
And Seesaw, in their app, the manifest is written such that it's for phones only. So you can't put it on an Android tablet or a Chromebook yet. So I think in the meantime, as we're going to dream about developers listening to our podcast, before the hardware gets built, if they could take away the manifest requirements that require the rear-facing camera or whatever, because I can take that Asus Flip and turn it and still take a picture to put into Seesaw, and we could do that through the web interface too.
Yep.
In fact, that's what we're going to be doing. I have a kindergarten teacher that's going crazy with it already. But there's a lot of apps that you think, oh, yeah, it'll just run. Well, not so much.
But you don't have to be in the dev channel now. You can be in the beta channel because
the
52
one
is
step up.
beta. Yeah.
I put all of ours in the beta, not the dev.
I couldn't make it work and so I was using an enrolled Chromebook because I wanted to see what I could do with my enrolled device. And the beta channel, I couldn't make it work, but the dev channel would. I just had to go into my dashboard and allow my users, me, to move to the dev channel.
So you got an enrolled one to do Android?
Yes, I have an Acer R11 that is enrolled into my domain. That comes up with the pre-filled domain when I log in as me, but then I also have my public Gmail account on that same device.
Gotcha.
So I log in as my Gmail account on that device, and then I get the little Play Store icon down in the system tray there.
So the device is still enrolled, but you have to use a personal account still.
Oh yeah. You're still not using a GAFE or a GAFE account yet, not yet.
So that's not locked down.
No, absolutely.
Okay. Awesome. Any other cool things we've done this fall so far? So GAM in the cloud. We talked about that on our last podcast. Running GAM from the help me out, someone.
Google Cloud Console.
Yep.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay. So I did get that up and running. The one thing I couldn't get running was the persistent link, so I could just type GAM. And get it to go.
I have that working, so we can figure that out. Did you follow my
Yes, I did. Mine. I went in Pico, did all the things I thought I was supposed to do.
Pico.
Who knows? I couldn't.
Nano.
Okay, so maybe I should try Nano.
I don't like
do Pico.
I don't like the Pico editor.
Don't
Anyway,
like Pico de Gallo, huh?
So that does work. So if all of you out there listening, we wrote up some step-by-step instructions to get GAM to work on the Google Cloud Console while we were at ISTE on a bus coming back from Spark. Fun learning. So the notes were shady at best. So Carl and Lance have been working through those to try to iron them out. And once they are, we'll publish those somewhere useful so everyone else can look at those. But I do have that link working. I used it today trying to track down a serial number. How many of you have serial numbers rub off the bottom of Chromebooks? We do all the time.
Oh, yeah.
All the time.
So we were trying to figure out, and then the motherboard went bad, so we were trying to replace the motherboard and needed this existing serial. So we were using GAM to shoot out recent users of that device, and well, yeah. So I did that all from the cloud. Just shot it to Drive, opened it up, and we were able to locate the serial number. So that was a pretty quick fix.
So since we're on the GAM topic, I'm going to hop into my GAM tip of the month, if that's all right.
That is a great
Do
transition.
you have theme music yet? Do you have your theme?
No, I don't. I got nothing. Actually, it's a twofer this month. One of the things that I constantly get asked is about kindergartners and first graders. Can they log in? Can they log in? So I agree that a kindergartner can log in. I think they could learn an 8-character password. But what we determined was I needed to find a happy medium for some of my teachers. So I use GAM, and it's actually a previous GAM tip. But I used GAM at the beginning of the year to go in and create all those users, and it bypasses the security. So if you're a super security nut, ignore what I just said. But you can create a 4-digit password or a 3-digit or a 2-character password for your little biddies to log in. The other thing to remember too at the beginning of the year, people have asked, well, how do you create the new users without messing with the old users? Well, that's one of the great things about the commands. If you say GAM create this user, it's not going to touch a user that currently exists. It's just going to leave them alone. So I just export all my users out of Infinite Campus, create my spreadsheets, and say GAM create, boom, right out of this, and it does what it's supposed to, and it creates all my new users and never messes with my existing users.
Doesn't it shoot an error on the screen if you're watching it? It says duplicate.
Yeah, it says duplicate. Yep, duplicate account or ID already exists or something like that.
Right. Yeah.
But this month's scam tip of the month is actually to do with resource calendars. So if you're not using resource calendars in Google, it's a great way for your people to reserve anything from a computer cart on wheels to a conference room to, there's some schools that use it for their transportation requests. You can reserve a bus using a Google Calendar. One of the difficulties with that is to set up a resource calendar, it's lots of clicks, and I'm lazy. I don't like to click a lot. So what I wanted to do is figure out a way to make this happen where I have to do the least amount of work possible. And so what I do is I send out a form to my building secretaries beginning of the year, and they fill out this form, and they give me the 4 things I need: the calendar ID, the name that shows up on the calendar, the description, and the type. So is it a conference room? Is it a gymnasium? Whatever. Then those 4 pieces of information fall into a spreadsheet that I then create a CSV, and I say, GAM, look at this CSV and create these resource calendars. And that's all you have to do to it. I included an example of the CSV template that you can look at, as well as some tips on Google Calendar Resource API. There's some rules in there where you can't use special characters in certain places, no periods and things like that. But it's a really quick way to get those resource calendars created and out the door so people can start reserving stuff right away, and you can get rid of your 3-ring binders and things of that nature. And it's when people start to look at GAM, they don't realize that it's more than just user provisioning sometimes. And calendars is one place where GAM really excels, and resource calendars is one of those that we use here to make sure we have our resources available for our folks to check out as needed. So there you go. Resource calendars with GAM.
Boom.
Boom.
Very nice. This was my first year being, what did I use before? Better Cloud free. Just decided we weren't going to put the money into it and switched over to GAM. And I love it. So, oh, nice, Carl. So I always want to ask a pirate or someone that took it off.
I did.
Was it all fun and games until you lost it?
What you Oh, that's a dad joke if I ever heard one.
Wow.
That's a great joke. All right. So any other things, that we started the year off with that you want to?
Yeah, so I'll talk about mine here. One thing that we run into.
Mitch, this was cool. Sorry, Mitch.
Yeah, so we don't.
I get excited.
Because you already did yours, right, Chad? So.
Yeah, I did.
All right. We're not technically one-to-one at our school district yet. We have quite a few Chromebooks, but it's still not quite one-to-one. In our elementary levels, we do have sets for like small group reading, things like that, which are now touchscreen Lenovo N22s. Obviously, we can't harness the power of those yet. However, we do have situations where the teachers now are utilizing them to a level where they don't have enough of them, and they're constantly requesting more and more. And over the summer, we actually went and put in some Powergistics towers in each elementary school for charging carts and a set of 30 Chromebooks. Well, within the first week of school, the teachers have maxed out the use of those and are checking them out so frequently that it's hard to get a hold of Chromebooks for their rooms. So what we found and what we came up with was we had a whole bunch of old computers sitting in our back room, like everybody does. And when I was at Amplified IT, we started working with a company called Neverware a little bit. And what they do is they actually take Chromium OS, which is the open source Linux version of Chrome OS. That's actually what Chrome OS is built on. It's actually built on this open source project. And what they do is they port that over and allow you to install it. And Google's also a partner. They are a Google partner, so they're able to go in and tie into your Google licensing. So what you do is you buy a license through Neverware per machine, and then you also have to have the Google license. So it's like $15 per machine through Neverware, and then your $25 or $30 license through Google. And what that gets you is a download onto a flash drive. That flash drive essentially is like a live CD, a bootable USB drive. So when you boot up this hardware, it boots onto the live USB stick and allows you to install Chrome OS on any PC device. Well, not any, but anything newer. I would say anything newer than 5 years. Anything Gen i5, i7, that hardware, even though it's not technically supported on their supported list, it's going to work. We have some machines that came from a small company called Bytespeed up north here in Minnesota that we no longer use. Those definitely aren't name brand machines, but they're based on Intel i5 hardware, and it installed just fine on those. So Neverware does have a list of supported devices, but don't let that throw you off because it does work on anything pretty much 5 years or newer. And what it does is once it installs, it turns that device into a Chromebook, right? So, or a Chromebox if it's a desktop machine. It's amazing. We've taken a bunch of our hardware in the back room, installed this stuff on here. We bought a bunch of licenses for it. Once you install it, it comes up and you enroll it. I could use my USB rubber ducky on it because it's the same exact enrollment process. It gets all the policies delivered to it that I push from my admin console. Works fantastic. We just did map testing on entire 17-inch screens in our computer lab at one of the elementaries. Went awesome. The kids didn't have to worry about zooming in and out, scrolling. It was on a bigger screen, so they were more comfortable. They were sitting in an actual machine. So it's been a huge win for us, not being one-to-one yet, to get us through the beginning of the year and this huge influx of requests to get more hardware in these classrooms. You know, I'm not against adding more to these rooms as long as it isn't pushing our budget over. And being able to utilize this Neverware software has definitely allowed us to do that and kind of help these teachers out a little bit where we wouldn't be able to before. So awesome product. Check it out. You know, you can get a trial license from them, contact the salesperson, sweet talk them a little bit, maybe you can get a little extended trial. But yeah, it's super, super sweet.
And,
okay, so
hey, Mitch,
a couple of questions.
Yep.
Go ahead, Chad.
I was looking at this after you mentioned it the other day, and you can dual boot these bad boys, right? If you want to maintain
Absolutely.
Windows. Yeah.
Yep. So if you have a UEFI or whatever partition with Windows installed, it will dual boot. We haven't done that because honestly, we aren't using any PC apps. We had a few older PC apps that really we were kind of using them as a crutch, so it was an excuse to get rid of them. It just made it a lot more simple for those second and third graders, you know, to get signed in and stuff where it wasn't dual booting. But absolutely, yeah, if you wanted to, you sure could.
So $5, is that $5 a year or is it $5 one-time payment? So
no, it's not $5. It's a $15 per machine license cost per year, and then the admin console license on top of that. But that's still cheaper than a Chromebook. So. Oh yeah, no, I was many years before you're up to that. And then question number 2: would it work on an old Mac? Oh, that's Intel. I don't think so. I haven't tried it.
It is. They were listed on the supported.
Was it? Okay, yeah. So maybe it will.
I was just looking and thinking, man, I wish I would have kept some more of my little white bastards.
As long as it's an Intel-based machine.
Yeah, it'd have to be Intel-based hardware.
Yeah, it won't run on the PowerPC.
For those of you that are unfamiliar with Chad's nomenclature, the little white bastard is the polycarbonate white MacBooks.
The ones that fall apart.
The unibody crappy ones.
LWBs.
Yes.
Affectionately referred to.
Yeah, another one of those things. I just more and more I want to
turn all your Macs into Chromebooks. Yes, I do.
Well, think about not having to image them every year, not having to update. They just.
I think that they do sell a perpetual license too, so you can buy a perpetual license for those. I'm not sure what the cost is on that. We were only looking at it as a short term until we get to one-to-one. So
great short-term fix. So then, as long as it's a Chromebox, it can be put into kiosk mode also. Correct?
You got it. Yep.
Awesome. Yeah. So you have all the convenience of it. Nice. I like that. This is really starting to sound like a plug away session. I did too. I bought the Powergistic towers for our elementary. We went 1-to-1, 3 and 4, staying in the classroom. So we had one cart per grade level. Now we are actually 2 of the classrooms have the towers and 1 has the cart. So
ours love it because it's so easy to just pull them out of. You can see them and you don't have to reach down or.
Yeah, we went with the multicolored
organized.
ones so the kids would be more easily be able to remember where theirs was rather than by number. It's like I'm third red or whatever. They'll still be numbered, but a little easier.
Okay, guys, I have a question with that scenario. When you do 1-to-1 with classroom carts, do you assign an individual Chromebook to the kid, or do they walk from room to room and take one out of that cart?
Right now, we're doing that, where they take one out of a cart, go to the next room, take one out of the cart. I don't call that 1-to-1.
Yeah,
no, we're
classroom
sets, and they are taking the same one in each classroom they're in, so that if something happens, we have accountability. That's what we also.
4 sections in a building.
How we do it.
Oh, you don't want them carrying them.
Yeah, we allow them to carry it. We allow them to carry it, so we assign 1 Chromebook per student, and they'll have it for 5 years.
Right.
That's what we're going to do too.
Yep, and they'll carry those between the class.
Because of specials, then you don't have to have sets in those specials, like art and music, or all those other things that would need an additional cart.
So I'm just sort of fighting that battle right now. The teachers want them to be classroom sets, and I'm arguing that they need to be 1-to-1 devices. I have some of my own reasons, like today, yesterday, last week. Whenever we were looking for that broken Chromebook serial number, if it would have been a single user, I would have been able to find it easily, but I had to pick out of a list of 4 and look at last update check.
And we're going to base ours out of a homeroom, so it's
right. I mean, that's where they would take them at night to charge.
Right.
Obviously, they'd have to take it back to their home base to charge, right? So just getting some input there so I can take back. That's a good argument that I hadn't thought of yet, Mitch, with the specials, if they need to take them to art or elsewhere.
Yeah, that's quite a few in special ed. So
Right. So I had that argument earlier. I mean, every kid has access to a device pretty much.
Sounds like you have a lot of arguments.
I argue.
Chad argues.
The special ed teachers were asking for machines, and I'm like, why?
Yep.
We're pretty much 1-to-1. Why do you need machines in your room?
Well,
what do you mean? I said, well, the kid can take their computer to you. And they were like, oh.
Yep.
So that's what you're talking about, Chad, is exactly what we have to start the school year. Is the kids have a computer, they take it with them if they're going to art, if they're going to music, they're going to media time, whatever. The special ed thing that you're talking about, though, is we're going to use this year to wean the special ed teachers off of those computers in their room, because some of them think and there's some kids that can't. They can't handle carrying their own device, at least right away. We need to work them up to it. So we have like 2 MacBook Pros sitting in a special ed classroom that's there. We also have some software, very limited numbers anymore, that's required for that student for special need or whatever that we can't accommodate with the Chromebook. But that's exactly what we're headed to. We've kicked it off this year, and by the end of the year, those special ed kids that they'll be taking their devices when they go. Same for our at-risk programs. They're going to success rooms, ELL rooms for English language learners, your extended learning program, TAG, ELP, whatever you call it. Same thing. Those kids need to be able to take those devices with them, because you can't. Yeah, Chromebook's cheap, but to have a cart with a bunch of Chromebooks just for this one very small subset of folks doesn't make sense when they have a perfectly usable machine 100 yards away.
Right, and one of my other arguments was the class sizes differ, right? So I have to man the carts with enough to cover the biggest section, and when that differs by 3 or 4, that's times however many sections there is. That could be like 12 machines.
Right, and
so that's a lot sitting around.
And that's actually what we have going on. Is so our school board has said 25 is the magic number, right? 25, no more than 25. Well, I can come up with 10 different sections, right off the top of my head, that are almost 27 in some places.
Yep.
Right.
So I had to put carts of 30 in a gen ed classroom, no matter what. So there's a cart of 30 sitting in a room with 21 kids. and they got 9 extras just sitting there. But I can't have them moving them around and, oh, you need this one and you need this
And
one.
having some extras isn't bad, but that's excessive.
Right. Oh, no,
Hi,
I
kitty.
totally agree. But
This podcast just turned into a cat video.
gonna get Mitch's head.
Right there. I usually shut the door so she can't get down here. Like when I worked at Amplified, she'd be like all climbing up on me, and people are like, "Hey, you got a cat?" And I'm like, "Yeah." It's right here."
How'd you guess?
Oh, no, my headset.
Yes.
Got a little hair on your cat hair on your face.
All right.
Here, let me fix your stuff.
Before we get too far into the show, I do want to do so. We have a guest tonight.
We're half over.
Today, we're half over, and I think we could probably talk for another 3 hours.
As we do.
Yes, we can do that. But I want to introduce Cody from GoGuardian. Cody's in to talk a little bit about Fleet, which is a product from GoGuardian. Quite a few of us in the GAFE Admin use GoGuardian. They've been a really nice supporter of the podcast. They do some great stuff. Come out with some great programs this summer, and Fleet was one of those. We had a chance to demo it. Some of us were beta users. Some of us talked them out to ISTE this summer. And without any further ado, I'll pass it right on to you, Cody.
Perfect. Thanks, Lance. So first, I want to say thanks to you guys for having me on. Also, thanks for all the great info you put out. I was stealing as much of it as I could and passing it on. Got a bunch of admins using rubber duckies for their enrollments. And they were like, "You're a lifesaver." And I'm like, no, these guys are the lifesavers. You guys have done it many more times. I also had to do the first enrollment at GoGuardian of 40 Chromebooks, and it was a little painful because I didn't have a rubber ducky, so I was doing the Chad's, chair around the island and all my Chromebooks. But yeah, so definitely. So I wanted to say thanks to you guys. For anybody listening, the background of GoGuardian started as a monitoring and filtering for Chromebooks, and then moved into kind of a little bit of classroom management. And the more conversations we started to have with admins, the more we realized there's a lot of great information and management that Google is doing from the Google Admin Console, but a lot of stuff kind of gets stuck inside of it. So without spending too much time talking about it, I'll just show a little bit. So let me present. Awesome. So what you're actually seeing is GoGuardian Fleet. What I've done is really quickly I can actually just sync. Also, I'll show how fast this is. So I can actually sync. There's pending jobs. So we're running a sync on the back end right now. But what this has is that actually has all the information about a device. So all the information that's inside the Google Admin Console, who last logged in, a log of changes that I've made as well, and then any repairs that are going on for this device. So one of the big things we've seen is, especially around testing time, is making sure that everything's up to date. So being able to sort and find by OS version to figure out what's out of date and what needs to be updated. Last sync is also there. But the big thing is, because your users and devices are stored in the Google Admin Console, and they're not really very well surfaced, what we did was we essentially pulled them out and are now hoping to kind of give the ability to actually do things with them. So now you can upload a CSV with all your asset IDs, be able to actually sort by OUs, find information, locations, anything that kind of is going on, and hopefully get access to it faster. And then especially right around the start of the school year, having something that is actually how to assign a book with an asset ID. So I'm just going to scan asset ID, enter, find the user that is supposed to be assigned to. In this case, it's Draco, and assign. So we were actually doing some testing, and we were able to assign about 100 devices in under 10 minutes.
You had a competition on this one, didn't you?
We did have a competition on this one.
Yeah, I wanted to participate in that like really bad, but it was at the very beginning of school year when I was a little busy, and I was going to barcode it and cheat and not have to search for users. Be like, get those filled in real quick. But
that's kind of where we're thinking about going, right? Is oftentimes you guys have your SIS systems. So once we get an SIS integration, then you can do something as simple as having a barcode ID for a student and a barcode per device. Also, Mitch kind of bugged me a little bit about it, so now we're looking to implement user management as well this fall. So to kind of provide a GUI that does something similar to what GAM does. So that way those who are just kind of starting to get into the Google world when they're first getting their Chromebooks are going to be able to do that device management, that user management, hopefully a lot easier than they were doing in the past. So the goal going forward is to make all that information, users and devices, accessible and easy and connected, eventually getting to the point that if your assigned user doesn't match up with your recent user, it'll give you a flag. Or this type of Chromebook has broken more times than this type of Chromebook, being able to track your warranty information so it's not spread out in all these different spreadsheets that you guys are currently using.
Cody, do you have a demonstration of maybe some of that reports, or does it exist yet with sort of the pretty graphs that you can show people that don't like numbers?
Not yet. So a lot of what we did was just kind of get this out there to the admins, and are kind of letting you guys tell us what's next and what's most important. So the first thing we did was pull out users and allow kind of that auto finish. And we're revamping the repairs functionality as well to have it be a little bit more help desk and ticketing, especially if you have student techs helping, and how to manage that flow. But yeah, coming soon is going to be more the report level stuff.
So Cody, you mentioned student techs and things like that. Are there multiple layers of access?
Not yet.
Okay.
Yeah. But if you go to the
not yet tends to be like, oh, but maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, so actually
he's learning from Google.
Yeah.
Not yet, but
user voice.
He turned to Becca right there and said, "Write that down."
Becca stepped out, but no, we're what we have actually have user voice.
Tell us all the
Now
secrets.
we use voting. So actually, I show this again. This is how a lot of our stuff gets decided now. There's actually just an ideas link, and you vote. So
you should have shown me that.
Loaners is up next, and then there's a lot of invoices and how to repair tracking, which is why we're in the process of redoing repairs. So this is now how GoGuardian makes decisions. So when you need something from GoGuardian, that's how you go get it now.
So I noticed that first idea on their loaner pool. That would be super, super handy to be able to track loaners with just a couple clicks. Like, I need to hold on to yours for a minute. I'm going to assign you a loaner. Just click.
Yep, exactly.
Now that kid has that loaner. That would be functional. Good
Look
stuff.
at Chad's gears spinning.
Yeah. Well, we've had multiple conversations with this team, so yeah, they just keep spinning. They rarely stop.
Chad doesn't sleep. He just goes into a little bit of stasis, and his mind's still working.
I come up with some of my best code while sleeping.
Well, awesome. I like I said, playing with it over the summer. I like it. It's just a playing with Fleet over the summer. Stop. We always wonder why it is that we get a mature rating, but oh well, because we're immature. There are 9 viewers. We haven't had any questions pop up. If you do have questions, the Q&A is open. We had someone post earlier today, early in the podcast, but so far no one is going on there. Anybody here have any questions for Cody?
I asked a couple.
Yes. Any more questions? Sorry.
Are we sticking with just Fleet?
That's up to Cody.
Cody knows.
Cody
knows my other question.
As long as it's not about the fuzzy screens on Teacher, because that was Google version 51 was a nightmare and apparently broke access to that. So if you have GoGuardian Teacher and it's broken, make sure they're all upgraded to 52 or higher.
Then you go to GoGuardian Fleet and find out who's on 51 and make them get up to 52.
There you go.
And life is good.
No, mine was
awesome.
Towards the time filtering sets that you guys are working on. I don't know if that's top secret, but it isn't anymore.
Hey, not questions about other
legal left, right?
Becca's not legal. We were joking about that.
I know. That's funny.
Terrible.
No, I want Go Guardian to have time filter sets so that I can switch. Right now,
yeah,
I cannot. That is a requirement for me.
Yeah, it's a big
I'm
one.
told you might be working on it.
It's working on it. So amazingly enough, you guys, the admins using our products have managed to melt GoGuardian servers again. We just crossed, I think, 1.5 or 2 million students online concurrently. So we managed to take our own systems down, as well as a couple other services of other companies.
Was that you guys that did SSO the other day?
No comment.
Oh, Cody, you broke the Google.
Yeah, no, I don't think that one was our fault. We
one
definitely put some strain on some multiple systems, but yeah, so a lot of it's kind of been all hands on deck the past couple weeks, and now we're just kind of getting back into the actual building things and not keeping things afloat stage.
Well, welcome to the beginning of the school year, Cody.
I was going to say, none of us understand that at all. What are you talking about? I'm getting to play with stuff. Right now it is putting out fires and drinking a lot of coffee.
Well, then I could actually turn the question around real fast. What have been the big fires you guys have been experiencing as school starts back up?
Oh, man.
Mine is an argument that I've already talked about that I'm not going public with it because my opinion is not nice. So it has to do with multiple computers. So, but
Oh, I'll talk about that.
you can talk about it. I'm not talking about it.
You mean with the nasty
Yes.
word
No. Don't talk
starts
about
with an S?
mine.
Oh,
What? Oh yeah. A product that I'm not. It's like any
No,
product
sorry.
out there. There's good uses and then there's other uses that aren't.
yep, there are.
Real good with it. So, but no, as far as the beginning of the school year, I don't know. I think it's been a smooth start in terms of student machines. I've had more issues with my teacher machines, and they aren't on Chromebooks. And that was so. I think on one of the boxes I said, Chad, that I thought my solution to that would be that I would offer the teachers, if you want a second device, I will give you a Chromebook for you to have at your desk.
That's a good idea.
And then your other device can be connected to that thing.
Stuck on the wall.
That's stuck on the wall.
Honestly, if I look at my help desk tickets, we went through them the other day, and 90% of our help desk tickets that are sitting outstanding right now are related to those things on the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's really, that's what it is. It's
One of our big issues was we had a little bit of a data entry glitch. We had some new staff. And new staff don't always understand that the SIS is like the gold standard from which we populate many other systems, some automagically and some by CSV export and then import after some data manipulation. And when the SIS is off, somehow that then propagates to all these other systems. So we've had to clean up that a little bit. That's where most of my life has been spent the last little while. And then we use Clever to automatically sync some data, so that propagated into a couple other systems that Clever populates.
We had the same issues this summer. We switched to Clever this summer and had to go through our SIS, and we didn't have email addresses populated for any students.
Right.
So.
Right, which is required in a lot of systems for usernames and account creation. So yeah, we are having some of those same headaches, but I'm looking at it as a growth experience. So we've since figured out how we're going to get email addresses in for kids pre-K through 12th grade. And then also we've put processes in place to clean up the data. The data is only as good as the data is. So we also put in some different processes for notification of new students and staff. So we're cleaning up processes. So that's been the biggest headache for me. And hopefully next year it'll be better. We've got some plans in place, and now we have to wait 11 months to see if it works. I don't like that, but I'll probably iterate the plan about 80 times between now and then. That's just how I am. But we have a plan, and it's not set in stone for sure.
Chad, Mitch, wouldn't you say, though, that going to Clever, you're going to probably save hundreds of hours of data of setting up
We already have.
Oh, yeah.
usernames
Oh,
and
absolutely.
passwords.
And the issues aren't Clever's fault.
Hundreds of
Don't get me
hours.
wrong.
And I even myself, multiple hours for WA maps testing and for HARA and C and Lexia, all those we have going with Clever, right? Running through Infinite Campus. And yeah, we did have to go in and add email addresses, but after doing that, I think the transition is going to be really smooth.
Right.
Yep.
And we may have turned on our, you know how you sleep the Clever sync over the summer. We may have turned it on before that. Some people were ready for me to do that.
We may have.
Well, the data wasn't clean is the problem, and then it populated unclean data, and it was a mess.
Yep,
We'll
it
clean it
suspends
up.
accounts.
I'll clean it
Or,
up.
yeah.
Yeah.
It fixes itself once you fix the data in Infinite or in Sys. So
Well, yeah, the stuff that Clever did. No, Clever is a godsend.
it's
but
amazing.
You know, there's like 7 or 8 that I
might
still have to
actually,
read anyway.
Cody, might be your link is look at Clever as a way to link the SIS to your system.
I develop a product called Flex.
Are you guys
If
using?
you've been on this podcast, you know that already. We're in the early stages of working with Clever as well, so it's
fantastic.
it's fantastic.
We use it a lot
clever.
for our little
It is very clever.
little kids. You know, our little kids. Before they'd sign in with one shared classroom Google account, but once they got in, you know, they had 3 or 4 different products they used. They had to sign into those 3 or 4 different ones, and now we're switching to, all right, you sign in once into the Chromebook. The only battle we're having now is teaching them to type their own name, right? So their username, since we're not one-to-one.
So-
if we were one-to-one at those levels, you could just keep the sign-in, but we're not. We're shared devices. So.
You can,
My question to Google, if you're listening, Google, is when are you going to go the way of Lexia and be able to log in with the webcam with a QR code? Because that works
And
pretty
they're
good
working
with
on
littles.
yeah,
Or
so
facial
Clever already has
recognition.
the badges. The badges are already set up for Clever, so that will work.
Yeah,
Chad.
Clever and Lexia have both done that, yeah. But you still have to get them in
On
the
an
device.
iPad version.
Phil's
You're
having
really,
ISP
you feel you're
provider
having some Mr.
issues.
Roboto
Right. Yeah.
issues. You're very
I thought
ro-
maybe it was in Chad's basement for a while, but
Nope, not today.
Chad's been pretty good tonight.
I have.
So I'm
That's
thinking
amazing.
of well, we just went down to 7. Of the 9 to 10 viewers we've had, perhaps Cyrus is one of them, and he's writing all this down.
I would hope so.
Ooh, here's stuff Chad wants.
That's what everyone should do. Make a list of what Chad wants and do it.
Cody's got
You know
a long
that-
list of stuff you want.
That
See
whole
little sticky notes behind his head? He's
Yeah,
been
I
writing
have
those during the
Chad's
podcast.
ideas.
Cyrus, I need this API and I need that.
right. With this no limits and
All right.
And all for free. And we can use your database to store our stuff, right? We don't have to use your own database to store it. We'll store it.
That's exactly what he wants.
You can melt Google servers then instead of your own.
They have
Yeah,
bars
If you
for
can
that.
melt the Google servers, you are incredible.
they just bring another storage unit. Boom, plug it
Float
in.
another barge.
Another data center.
Yeah.
Why not?
So seriously, I can't. If Clever and Lexia can do that whole the QR badge thing, why isn't that on a Chromebook just built in? Boom, go, kid. Or for me, God, that's pure laziness. Just boop, I'm in.
That'd be great.
I have it on the
That'd be
back of my
real cool.
phone.
Hey, guess what? My PS4 can sign me in by just sitting in front of my camera. Just there's
Windows
Chad. There
10.
we go.
Facial recognition
Or
on
No
Windows
Man's
10. you know?
Sky.
Don't bring up that operating system, Mitch.
I love Windows 10.
We don't talk
I
about
love Windows 10. Windows 10 rocks. That locks me in with looking at me too.
kick you guys all out of here.
You know, every month, every time we do this podcast, we have show notes. And the last thing on the show notes is what we call the add or add-on or extension of the month. And we never get to it. And that's okay. And I don't think we're going to get to it tonight. I do
got the
want to
fills.
talk.
We got the
No, we
fills.
did.
Yeah, we did.
I got
And that was awesome. We can do it every once in a while. I do want to talk. There will be a couple of live podcasts that we'll be doing. One we'll be doing from the iTech conference which is October 9th and 10th. We'll actually be doing on Tuesday the 10th. We'll put it out there on the GAFE admin community. We'll be recording live from the conference itself. We're having a podcast pavilion. So this is kind of also an appeal. If you are an educator in Iowa, if you're a tech director in Iowa, you're listening to this podcast, and someone at your school does a podcast, we would like to have them come to iTech and do a live broadcast. Now, what's really nice is we have some very good recording equipment. Thank you, Go Guardian. They did purchase a mobile podcasting kit. Whoever hit the sound effects, thank you. They did that for us. So we have some really nice equipment. We tested it out last week and got it working. The second live broadcast we're going to do in November is, Phil actually was one. Hey, did you turn that button up, Lance? Because Lance was the idiot who couldn't turn knobs. I don't know. It's all kinds of weird stuff here. And then in November, we'll be at the Midwest Google Summit in the Dells, Wisconsin Dells. Another great conference that a lot of us have gone to in the past. Looking forward to that one. So 2 live broadcasts. Tonight nobody was asking questions. I don't know if Q&A was down. But if you have questions, feel free to post them to us. Oh, man. You're biting the hand, Marty.
Cody didn't even smile. Come on. Did he mute me?
No, Cody's been a great sport. And you've got the 5 of us who have known each other for a long time.
Other than when they stole our table at ISTE when we were trying to go get something to eat, and their whole team stole our table. At that point, it's like, kick these guys out of the hangout. But
that's actually how you build rapport. You guys a little bit.
Right.
You don't hold a grudge, though, do you, Mitch?
No, not at all. I razzed him about it right before that, and then karma bit me.
Hey, Cody, I thought of another question. We didn't discuss pricing structure for Fleet. Is that included? If you already have the filter, are there like bundle packages for all your products? Because you have the filter, and then you have Teacher, and then you have Fleet, and
admin.
They're actually
admin
pricing. Oh man, if I quote something wrong, my finance guy's going to kill me. But what I can say is that each product, I want to say the first one is like 15% or so, and the next one's 10% beyond that. And actually, anyone who mentions this podcast gets 10% off Fleet as well.
Nice.
Hold on. Oh, I just switched things. I could have clapped.
It's not the Chat for X podcast. It's the GAFE Admins podcast.
Yep. Yeah, feel free to spread that one around. You guys get a little bit more attention, and helps save some more people money.
Yeah, that'd be great. Well, thank you. That is excellent. All right. Well,
hey,
okay,
Lance, Lance, I have a question for you. See, chat's always full of questions. You said the live broadcast at iTech. Are we limiting that to Iowa-based podcasts? Because you said if you're from Iowa. I mean, we do get neighboring states.
Oh, no. I'm sorry. I did say that. You're exactly right, Chad. No, if you have an education-based podcast.
And are willing to drive to Des Moines on your own dime.
Yes. Yeah, we aren't sponsoring you. Sorry, we haven't got that kind of money. We don't got the money. But yeah, if you want to do a live podcast, you have time. We have 2 days. This will be set up right now. We have 4, Dads and Ed, us, the EdTech Takeout from Grantwood AEA, and then who was the 4th one that's coming in? They're students. They're coming in to do a podcast, and I can't think of the school off the top of my head. I'm sorry. But so right now we have 4 set up, and there will be, I believe, 8 or 10 time slots that are open. So it'll just be sitting there ready for someone to go ahead and record on. So we'll have a nice setup. School specialty is providing the furniture. We provide the sound equipment. Thank you to Go Guardian. And IEC provides the space.
Lance's audio is going freaky. You're not going through that mixer and turning knobs again, are you?
No, I'm not. What's probably happening is my daughter's probably streaming Netflix right now. So we're doing a FaceTime. So we are at our time limit. So I guess I just say Francis turning into a robot there.
Smoking movie got him. you know, tobacco.
That's one of my favorite Dennis Leary bits.
It's a good one.
Somebody say goodbye.
He totally sounds like.
Till next time, GAFE Admins Podcast, signing off.
We out.
Doo-doo-doo-doo.